Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar, Stayntouch Product Enhancements, version 6.0, Numpad support for post charges, digital registration card, and more, presented by Stayntouch implementation consultant, Victor Zoll. I'm your host, Erin Fisher, the content writer here at Stayntouch. Today's presentation will cover how you can get the most out of the Stayntouch PMS version 6.0 product release. In this webinar, we'll cover the following enhancements: Numpad support for post charges, the new digital registration card, the Pay Now functionality, an enhanced item charge display, passerby and grab and go enhancements, hotel configuration and use of last room value, how to copy existing group header details for faster group creation, custom CSV separator for exports, purpose of stay insights in the daily production by demographics report, enhancements to custom exports, which include the primary external references update, as well as the custom payment link for reservations and accounts. And this is for Stayntouch Pay or Adyen or Shift4. Then we'll move on to POS check management, how to control derived rate updates to Windsurfer, connect API enhancements, and then finally webhook enhancements as well. We'll have a short Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation and we'll answer them in the order they're received at the end. And that's all I have right now. Victor, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Aaron. I'm going to share my screen here and then just confirm for me, Aaron, that you can see it.
Loading. Yep, now I can see it.
Perfect. You see the dashboard, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Victor Azul again, implementation consultant here at Stayntouch. We are going to cover today the release notes for version 6.0 here. There's a lot for us to cover today, so if you have any questions, like Aaron said, feel free to message them in the chat. But let's go ahead and get started here. The first one that we're going to talk about is an enhancement that many properties have been asking for, and now it's finally available for you to use as well. It is called the Numpad 10 key support for post charges. So basically, again, numerous properties have asked for this, and now you do have the functionality now to use your keyboard or your 10 key on your keyboard here. The number pad on the keyboard to post charges. You don't have to switch and click on the screen anymore. And again, there's two sections where you would post charges onto the guest bill or using the post charges functionality here. So showing you an example here, if I go into a reservation here to my check-in reservation here, I go into the actual stay card here. Then now if I click on bill and charges now, and then I click on add charge, let's say we're going to add like an upgrade. Previously, you had to use the keys and click on the buttons on the screen here, but now you are able to use your keyboard, your 10 key here. So I'm going to go ahead and enter a value here. So again, I just use my keyboard. You didn't see me because I'm using my keyboard here, but instead of clicking on the buttons here, you are able to enter that amount directly from your keyboard here. So that's one way that you are able to post a charge using that new functionality there. The other way is obviously through the front desk and then just post charges here as well. So let's go ahead and again, searching for that upgrade. We'll go enter an amount here. And then this also works if you're adding several items, right? So I'm going to add another one, maybe like the room charge. And again, using my keyboard here, entering that amount here. So that is new functionality and available for you all to use now using your keyboard, your 10 key, your number pad, whatever you want to call it, instead of having to click on the screen and using the numbers on from the calculator screen here. So that's the first one. We're going to switch topics now. That was one that was, again, requested by several or numerous amounts of properties now available to you now. The next thing we're going to talk about is this new digital registration card. I know with previous leases, we've slowly introduced and mentioned what this new digital registration card is going to look like. I'm going to show you what the process and flow will look like, and then we'll go into a little more of how to set it up on the back end of the system. With this new feature for the digital registration card, you are able to basically send the registration card to the kiosk. So The thought behind this is obviously as a front desk agent, front desk person, you are on your laptop, maybe even an iPad or a computer, and then you're able to send the registration card once the guest needs to fill that in over to a tablet, an iPad that is guest facing on their end. With this digital registration card, there is an additional cost to this. So if you are interested in setting this up for your property, feel free to reach out to sales.team@stayntouch.com for the pricing on that. As I mentioned, there is an additional cost to this. So I'm going to demonstrate this again. I'm using my laptop here so you all can see. So this is going to look a little different, obviously, with an iPad here. But when I am going to go ahead and check in a guest here, and I'll go ahead and use this reservation here. Same process. I'm a front desk agent checking in someone here. Go ahead and hit the green check-in button. This is again if you have any upsell set up, but I'm going to go ahead and no and proceed. And at this moment is typically when if for the new registration card, you would fill this information in. You would have the guest fill this information in if you're using an iPad, and you would hand the iPad over to the guest for them to complete the necessary mandatory fields here, which are highlighted in red. They would obviously read the terms and conditions and sign off on the screen. With the new feature that we are enabled, you could actually send it to kiosks. So you have this new purple button here on the right corner here. And as a front desk agent, I would go ahead and click on that. I'm going to switch tabs here. And this is what it would look like when you are signing in to the kiosk. So again, we would help you set up the kiosk here. But in the bottom right corner, there's a new, and we call this the hidden keys here, a new section here. And you could slowly see that my arrow turns into a little hand with the pointer. This is the hidden keys here, where if you click on it, it will take you to obviously logging into the kiosk or exiting it, or now a new button here called admin registration. Now these labels are customizable, so I did configure this to be admin registration. But again, you can label it whatever you would like, registration card. But if you go ahead and click on it, it will take you to what the registration card will look like that will be guest facing. So again, this would be a standalone iPad facing the guest, tablet. And you have some customization again with the labels that you are able to create here. So again, I made all these different labels here, as well as the background image. So you have the option if you do want to have a standalone background image that will remain idle, or in my case here that I have set up with multiple images. So we'll go through the images that you upload. Again, very visual for the guests that it is guest facing to them. And this will constantly run until you obviously enable the registration card for the guest to fill out. So it's just a great way for the guests to see different images of the property. Again, you are able to upload, use whatever images you prefer to use, or you can use just one standalone image of maybe like your hotel building or a logo of your property. You can use that as well here. I'm going to jump back to this registration card now. So again, at this moment, I'm checking in the guest in. Now I'm going to go ahead and send it to the kiosk. Once I send it to the kiosk, I do have these buttons at the top right that appear now. I can refresh it. Refreshing it will populate any of the information that the guest has already filled in if they're going through the process. You can pull it back, meaning that once you transfer it over here, you can pull it back and then it will go back to you and you would have control as a front desk person. Or you can refresh and continue here. Again, you wouldn't hit refresh or refresh and continue until the guest has filled out some of this information for the registration card here. So I'm going to go back to this screen here. Again, this would be the guest on the tablet or an iPad here. They'd go ahead and tap to start here. Oops, let me refresh this. Go ahead and send to kiosk. So at first, again, with the new registration card feature here with the digital registration card, you are able to set your parameters of what you want to capture. So again, for our default settings for our demo property here, we obviously have the main guest highlighted here in red. And then we also have additional guest details here. So if you did want to capture additional guest details, for example, I could click on this. This would be the company guest here, where if I wanted to capture additional guest details like their phone number, their address, I can enable those features as well. In our demo property, we just have the name listed there. Same thing with children. Again, if you did have that enabled and want to set that up as well, you can view the details here. Again, if you did want to capture information regarding that guest details, you can enable that as well. Again, we only enable the first and last name here. But I'm going to go ahead and populate and sign the registration card for the main guest here. Again, that's me highlighted in red here. So I'll go ahead and add details here. Now, what you want to do as a front desk, and it's going to look a little off here again because I'm on a computer instead of an iPad. Let me see if I can make this bigger a little. So scrolling through this again, I guess on their iPad, what they would want to do is quick fill only the mandatory fields because obviously they only want to fill in what is necessary or mandatory based on what the property settings are. So go ahead and click on that checkbox here. Again, anything with the red asterisk is a mandatory field here. Again, you do have the capabilities and flexibility to select what do you want to make mandatory here. So in our case, we enabled the purpose of stay here as a mandatory field. So again, this is something that was released a couple of releases ago that you are able to set up the different reasons or purpose of stay, and then the guest would be able to select what their reason is here. Again, first and last name here. Go ahead and type in an email address here because it is a mandatory field. Country as well. Again, you are able to customize how you want the countries to be displayed with the preferences showing on top here. Postal code, phone number, another mandatory field here. Then if I scroll down to the bottom, I do have my reservation details. So I do have my arrival date, my departure date, number of nights, my average daily rate, and add-ons as well here. Again, labels here are customizable here. And as you just saw when I did that, if I click on this orange arrow here and expand it, I do see a breakdown of my stay here. So I have a breakdown of my daily rate here, taxes and fees, any add-ons. So in this case, we have a resort fee, and it looks like I also purchased a bicycle rental here. And then the add-on price as well here on the last column here. On the far right here, you do see your arrival time, your departure time, your room number if you've been already pre-assigned a room number, your room type here, the rate that you book, if there was a deposit paid, and that deposit payment type as well here. So you go ahead and see that information here. And the last thing for you to do is sign at the very bottom here. Obviously, before you even sign, you have to accept the terms and conditions. So this is again is pre-configured on the back end and configuration in Stayntouch here. That as a guest, I would go ahead and accept the terms and conditions. I would read my terms and conditions, smoking policy, pet policy, all that good stuff would be listed here. Again, customizable per property here. I would click agree. Again, make sure that is checked off. And then I would go ahead and sign the screen at the bottom here. So again, I already pre-signed this because I was playing around with it this morning, but I already had and signed the screen here. And then I'll go ahead and complete registration. Once you complete the registration, again, it will go back to that home screen here. And as a front desk agent, once the guest lets me know they're complete, I would go ahead and pull this back. Pulling it back would remove access to them on the registration card on the iPad here. And now you have full control of the reservation for the check-in process here as well here. So again, if I review the notes, everything here, or review the data that was filled in, everything should be populated to what was filled in by the guest when completing the registration card. I do see their signature here. I see this is already checked in, or I'm sorry, checked off here. And all I need to do is proceed to check in and go through the normal process of checking in the guest. Complete check-in, and then again, using the card, and then obviously creating the keys if you do have that integrated with Stayntouch. So that is the general flow of what this new digital registration card will look like. Again, if there are any questions or you're interested in enabling this for your property, there is an additional cost to this. So again, emailing sales.team@stayntouch.com to inquire about this, and they would be able to let you know what the pricing is for this particular feature with Stayntouch. So that is that. The other thing I want to show you is just once it is enabled, the configuration portion of how this is actually set up within Stayntouch. So I showed you the front end of things, obviously, of what the guest will see, what the front desk agent will see. But as an admin, there's obviously some settings you need to do as well here. So going into my settings here, and then settings again here. And then again, once Stayntouch admin has enabled this here, you will have that kiosk feature here, and then you'll have an additional button here for registration. So this is the configurable items for the registration card here. So I went ahead and activate it. Inactivity timeout. So you have a couple options here. Again, if the guest gets stuck somewhere or it doesn't complete it, maybe they're having a conversation with you and they forgot they were filling this out. This is basically when it will time out. And again, you'll just have to send it back to that iPad or tablet. Similar to what you saw at the beginning where I had to refresh it just because it's been idle for so long. You will have to resend it back to that tablet or iPad because you do have that inactivity timeout option here. You have the option for staff workstations and send to workstations. So this works in a way, obviously, if you are setting up your front desk computers, you want to make sure you are selecting the correct iPad or tablet that is going to be used for the registration card for the guest to sign. So again, I created my own workstation here. Again, you have a couple options. You want to create that workstation for that front desk computer here. And then you want to make sure you set up that workstation as well. In this case, I selected S&T testing as the one that will be connected to my computer here, and that's the one that will be triggered once I transfer or send to kiosk that registration card. And then the last section here is going to be the images. So again, you are able to upload images here. As you can see, I've uploaded 4 images here, and those are the ones that are going to be displayed as the background. And again, it will just be a gallery of the different images that you have uploaded there. If you do only upload one picture, again, that one picture will be the standalone picture that will remain idle as the background for the registration card feature here. So again, very exciting, a new feature, and stepping away from the standard or default paper registration cards that you always have to print out and have the guest sign. This is a way for you to go more virtual, paperless, and the guest is able to use an iPad or a tablet to fill that information in, and then it populates again into Stayntouch, and you have that information readily available to you. If for any reason you do still need to print out that registration card, you are still able to do that. If you go into the reservation itself, you will still have that option to actually have a printed format if you did want to have that registration card printed out here. I believe that is all in regards to the digital registration card. So again, very exciting, a lot of information there. But most importantly, if it is something you're interested in, again, go ahead and email sales.team@stayintouch.com to inquire about the pricing and the cost of this new feature with Stay in Touch here. All right, gonna jump over now to a pay now functionality. So the pay now functionality allows the hotel to perform one-off sales when using a passerby account to hold the bill once it is finalized. Um, the flow is, and you might have seen this already when I was trying to post a charge here. Let me go into a reservation or my home screen here. If I go into front desk and I go into account, sorry, post charges here. Now have the option, instead of doing a room charge here, I have the option to pay now here. So again, this is an option if the guest just wants to go in and pay now. Previously, you would go into the account itself that you have set up, the house account, the internal employee account, whatever you call that passerby account, and you had to go in to post charges and collect payment. With this new feature here now, you do have the option to pay now. So instead of the room charge, I'm going to go ahead and select pay now. Depending on how many passerby accounts you have set up, you have the option at the top here to click and see which passerby account you would like to use or post this against. Or you can simply, if you only have one set up, it would just default to that one that you have set up as the passerby account here. Let's go ahead and use this house use employee account. Maybe this is an employee that's going to go in and purchase something. If this was the wrong account that you selected, you can obviously detach this card and then select whatever one is the correct one here. But we're going to go ahead and use that one. Let's say they went ahead and purchased some chips and maybe a deli pack sandwich as well. So then they purchased those 2 items here. I'm going to go ahead and proceed to summary here. Proceed to payment. Again, this is reviewing the details of the purchase here. You have your items here, and then if there was taxes or anything, those would obviously be posted as well here. So I proceed to payment. We're going to go ahead and enter a credit card here. Again, I don't have a terminal set up against my laptop here, but I did already include a credit card here. So we're going to go ahead and use that credit card, and we're going to go ahead and make the payment. I don't know if, oh, perfect. So here, once the payment goes through, you can obviously email the invoice, the receipt to the guest or the employee, or you could go ahead and print out an invoice. Again, this invoice would be something similar to what you've probably already seen when you do print out invoices through Stay in Touch. Again, it just breaks down what was purchased here. So you can print it out there. If you wanted to reference the posting or go into that house account that you posted that item into, then I would go into the menu and I would go into my accounts here, which I'm in already. And then I would go to my passerby account. Again, this would be a non-zero balance. So I'll go ahead and select that employee account that I posted it. And then I could go into my transactions here. So again, I do have several postings here already completed here. And then I could review the one that I just did, which is this first one here. So I see the payment was taken, the items here within this section as well here. Again, I could print out the invoice if I needed to. I could email it to the guest if I needed to. If I needed to make any adjustments, maybe the person came back and they said, hopefully this never happens, but the item that they purchased was expired, right? So I need to go ahead and void this sundry item that was purchased for 350. Again, I already posted and I collected payment on that. But now if I hit this orange button here, I'm going to go ahead and search for sundries. And I'm going to go ahead and post that negative amount. I'm so used to still clicking on the computer, so that's what I was about to do. But again, now you are able to enter it through using your keyboard here. So we'll do 350 here, negative, and then adjustment reason. Let's go ahead and guest service recovery, and then go ahead and post the charge. So I offset it now for the 350. Again, the charges are still only $7 now, but I do have still a credit, or the amount that was paid was 1050. So now I can go ahead and refund that 350 here by clicking on that green button, selecting that credit card, entering that information, and go ahead and refund that 350 there. So again, that is a new feature in regards to the pay now functionality. Instead of going into the account, you can now just post it directly from the post charges screen into the account that you have set up as the passerby account. And then again, if you did need to review the details, you need to avoid the transaction, you need to adjust the rate, or I'm sorry, the amount that was posted, that's when you would go into the account and make those changes necessary. And again, here you could issue the refund if necessary, and then again, print the invoice as well. From the screen, which you can also do again when you are posting that charge as well. Let's see anything else here. Another change that was done, similar or relating to the add charge functionality or post charges here, is that under the front desk here, when I go ahead and post charges, by default or previously, the drop down here, it was called favorites, and this would list all the favorites, the most common items purchased. We have relabeled it. It is now showing as items now. This doesn't affect anything that you have previously set up as your favorites, meaning that you did want it to appear first or on this list here. It's just simply changing the name of it from favorites to items here. So again, you will not see favorites on the list here, or if you have a long list like we do have here, you won't see favorites. It will be referenced as items now. But if you still go back to your settings here, and then you go into your, where am I going? Financials and then items here. When you do create your items, it is listed as items here, and then you can still mark it as a favorite. But again, on the front end of the system, when you're posting a charges, you will no longer see that favorite tag. It will say items simply. So just an FYI of that, if you no longer can see the favorites, it's because it has been renamed and now it's called items under your post charges here. All right. Additional information in regards to the passerby grab and go, just relating to APIs. I'm just gonna talk about this real quick. Nothing to show here. But now with the new Connect APIs for grab and go and passerby, users can now seamlessly interact with grab and go and passerby features through new APIs. So again, if you are a property that utilizes some kind of point of sale system or another system, we do have APIs capabilities. If you were wishing to capture that information, you can set that up. Basically, with the new APIs, you can create a bill, post charges, lock bill, check and hide last bill. Just some new features if you do need those in regards to an API integration. And then the next thing, I kind of showed you this already, but just a different layout for those accounts here, for the passerby accounts. Under the account section here, again, I'll go ahead and select passerby here. And go ahead and select the employee one. Just a different layout for, again, this was something that was released previously, but just a different layout of what this screen looks like now. Just a breakdown of the different months listed here that you'll be able to select that. Prior, it was just all listed down here as a long list here, but now you are able to select a particular month if you're looking for a particular transaction. You are also able to search in the search box functionality here for an invoice number if that's what you have. You can search for a particular amount or a particular charge code as well here. And then again, you do have this option here as well to search for a particular charge code if you're looking for something specifically there. So just an additional enhancement in regards to that with the features of this screen here. All right, jumping over to another new feature with an integration that we have with our revenue management system with ideas. Again, nothing to show here just because we obviously don't have an ideas integration with our demo property here. But basically, what this new feature is last room value. So you do have the option now through Stayntouch PMS now supports ideas last room value, which empowers hotels to maximize revenue with intelligent value-based pricing. Last room value dynamically adjusts rates based on demand, availability, and room type, ensuring every room sells at its optimal value while simplifying the guest booking experience. This information is in the release notes. Again, you are able to get that from the Stay in Touch knowledge base. And I pulled up the article here just for reference. Again, there is some additional setup and configuration that obviously needs to be done if you do enable this feature. It is something that has to be enabled by Stay in Touch admin. So again, if you are a property that uses Ideas as your revenue management system and are interested in having this been activated, go ahead and send or create a ticket and send it to support. Again, Erin will provide additional information for contact. If you do want to reach out to her, we can obviously forward this to our support to enable it. But this article here, again, you're able to pull this from the release notes here, basically goes through what the last room value feature now includes within Stay in Touch. So a couple of things of obviously setting up and enabling it. There is a permission driven by this, so there is a permission that you will have to grant to yourselves as hotel admin or any other user roles that you wish to have that permission. And then there's a couple additional settings in regards to the yielding process of it. So there'll be in this screenshot here, there's an additional tab here under the rate section for yieldable rates. And then you'll be able to select the yieldable rates here. Again, going through the screenshots of what is the capabilities are and how to set this up. Again, it is very detailed in this article here, so I won't go too much into it, but this is a new feature here. Again, this is available on our release notes. The first thing, obviously, is if it is something you are interested in, go ahead and reach out to support for us to enable it or Stay in Touch admin to enable it. And then go ahead and read through this article and go through the process of how to set it up. Again, if there are any questions or if you get stuck somewhere setting this up, feel free to reach out to us as well and we could walk you through this process. So again, another very exciting feature if you are using Ideas as our revenue management system, something that you do now have capable using Stay in Touch as well here. All right. I've been saying exciting a lot here, but another exciting new feature here is switching topics here is related to groups. You now have the capabilities within Stay in Touch to copy existing group headers for easier, faster creation of groups. So this is obviously applicable if you have a group that stays multiple times throughout the year. Instead of having to recreate that group, adding all the necessary details to create that group, you can now duplicate or copy that group now. So I'm going to jump back to our demo property here. Going to go into my groups and go into manage groups here. You may have seen this already, but say, for example, I'm going to go to my Home for the Holidays group. They already have an existing group. They're coming in December 22nd till 27th. And maybe they inform me that, hey, we actually want to go ahead and already create a group block for next year, same time frame. So you will now see this duplicate button in the top right corner here, this blue button here. If you do click on it, it will duplicate the group, creating the same headers. In regards to the name, obviously any contact details that you have set up. There is still some information you obviously still have to create here. For example, the date, because again, it will not be the same, or it may be the same. Maybe there's going to be two groups staying at the same time. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select 2026 here and say they're going to select the same time here. So I'll say like 26 to the 26th here. And again, I would fill this information here. And then the group code, just type in something random here. And go ahead and save the group here. Oops, select the right custom rate. So again, a quick and easy process now of duplicating the group. You still have to, again, fill out the necessary information in regards to the block details, the rooms that are being allocated. But in this case, at least I went ahead and duplicated the group, kept the same contact details. Again, there's still some additional information that you do need to fill out. But again, instead of having to create a group from scratch from the beginning, you now are able to duplicate that group as shown here that I do have those two groups created here. All right, jumping over to switching topics to reports and exports here. New feature is regarding custom CSV separator for exports here. You can now have more control over the data exports that you are setting up through Stayntouch here. A new export setting option is available. You can choose what your preferred CSV separator is going to be. You have the options for a comma, a semicolon, or a pipe, depending on how you want the export to be displayed. And I guess depending on your country's data standards, you do have different options of how you want that to be displayed here. So if I go into my menu into settings here, and then settings again here, under the statistics or stats and reports here, I will have a new category here, a new label here called export settings here. And simply here, you do have the option, as I mentioned, to select comma, semicolon, or pipe, again, depending on your preference there or the standards for your country. By default, it will be comma here. But once you go in and save changes, you are able now to, when you run your exports here, those will be the separators once you export that information into that raw data file, that it will either be one of those options of a comma, semicolon, or pipe here. One thing to note, the update only applies to scheduled exports, the commission export, and the end of day report balance exports from the journal. This is not yet available for individual report exports. So just an FYI on that. Again, that information is on the release notes. If you did not write that down or memorize that, it's only available for certain exports at this moment. But again, future releases, it will be available for those individual exports as well. All right. Relating to the reports here, another enhancement to the reports was the purpose of state insights on the daily production by demographic report. So if I go into my report sections here, again, just re-reviewing the purpose of stay here. It is a feature within Stayntouch that got released prior that you are able now to set up a purpose of stay and have your default settings listed here. Again, you can make this a mandatory field as you saw when I was completing that registration card. But if you go into reports, a new report here, I'm going to pull up my daily production by demographics. I do have the option now to display that purpose of stay in addition to those standard demographics that we already had available. So now I can include purpose of stay here. The new purpose of stay will appear on the report. Again, the report is available by viewing directly within Stayntouch, CSV export, or print view, or a schedule report as well here. So again, that's a new option here for the daily production by demographics. You do now have that include purpose of stay here as well. Last one in regards to the reports here. Nothing to show here, but just a description here. The custom exports primary external preference update. We've improved the way custom exports handle external references for reservations. Previously, only references of the type confirmation number marked as primary were included. With this update, all primary external references are now included in the exports regardless of the type. If multiple confirmation numbers exist, the most recently added one is prioritized with the primary references taking precedence, and only one confirmation value will appear per reservation to keep the exports clean and accurate. So that's just an addition. The primary external reference updates will be displaying on those reports or exports that you have set up here. All right, jumping over to payments again. So custom payment links are now available on reservations and accounts. You can now generate a payment link for individual reservations, house, and group accounts. The payment link now allows for Stayntouch PMS users to add a free form amount, meaning that you can type whatever the amount is due instead of deferring back to whatever the deposit is. Say they owe a particular amount, you can go ahead and pre-populate whatever that amount is, which is a free form field here. And then you are able to use that payment link by when it is generated, when you enter that amount, and share it with the group contact, the guest that still owes that particular amount here. I'm going to show you this in a second here. When you enable this, hotels offer contactless payment options across all guest interaction scenarios, reducing friction in the payment process and improving operational efficiency. Aaron mentioned this at the beginning. A couple things to note with this. At this stage, the custom payment link functionality is only available for hotels using Stayntouch Pay, Adyen, or Shift4. This is a feature that needs to be enabled by Stayntouch admin. So if this is a feature you do want to enable, again, go ahead and submit a ticket to our customer support, and they will go ahead and enable it for you. But what this feature looks like once it is enabled is that when you are have a reservation or you do want to create a link, payment link for a group or an account here on the actual reservation here, if I go into my bill and charges screen here, and I go. Once it is enabled, you'll see this purple button for payment link. Again, I'm able to enter whatever amount. So let's say $500 there. And I go ahead and generate link. Once I generate the link, I can go ahead and copy this link and I can paste this anywhere. So if I'm going to send a personal email to the guest, maybe they're a friend of mine, I could say, this is the amount that's due. Please go ahead and click on this link and make the payments. I can also send this if I have a prefix or pre-populated format text. I can include this or embed this in that email. So this is available now for you to be generated. Before, I know we had functionality where you're able to prepay the deposit, but again, this will allow you to freeform or type in whatever the amount that needs to be collected. This is per guest or per link basis. So again, if I did want to create another link for another guest, I would have to go and follow the same process here, clicking on that reservation, creating that payment link, and then copying and paste that into that particular email communication or whatever communication will be sent out to the guest. Again, this feature is also available for groups. So if I go into manage groups here, so I say, for example, they want to go ahead and, or I want to send a link to just pay for a deposit of $100, for example, I can go ahead and go into my transactions tab. I will see that payment link option here. Again, we would go ahead, same thing, freeform any amount that you want to initiate there, generate link. And again, I do have that link available, and then I copy and paste that into whatever is necessary. Again, also available for particular accounts. So if you did have any accounts that still owe money or you want to collect money on, and you want to send them a link, you are able to use that as well here with the payment link here. So again, another cool feature that is released now, again, only available at this stage for any hotels using Stayntouch Pay, IDN, or Shift4. Those are where it's only available right now. All right. Going to jump over to integrations, and then we will wrap up with additional API features that have been released as well. In regards to integrations, again, nothing to show here. This is in relation to a point of sale, a POS integration here. With the POS check management, you can now instantly view, print, or email professional POS receipts right from the guest bills. No more lost restaurant checks or whatnot. So again, if you do have a POS integration where you are transferring any data into Stayntouch through a house account or an internal account. Again, this is the article where included in our release notes where you're able to do that. And you may have seen it already when I was showing you posting charges and printing out an invoice. But basically, with this Connect APR partners of ours that do have an integration with us with the POS system, once that information is transferred over to Stayntouch, again, you will have that option to print it out to have that receipt or invoice. Again, this article details exactly how it is displayed and then the features that is included with this. Again, this is in reference to a POS point of sale system or integration with us that uses our Connect API features here. All right. Another integration for our hotels using Windsurfer CRS integration. There is a new feature that has been released regarding this Windsurfer, what the CRS integration. Basically, a new control for derived rate updates to Windsurfer. It's been released. This improves efficiency and performance for connected hotels that are using Windsurfer. So if I'm going to do this on our demo property, we don't have it enabled here, but just to show you what this feature looks like and how to enable it. If I go into my settings, and I go into integrations, and I go into potential reservation systems, and I go into Windsurfer. If I go ahead and see here, I do have this new toggle here, send derived rates. So again, this allows the hotels to manage whether child or derived rate updates are sent from the PMS. When it is on, both parent and child rate updates are sent to Windsurfer. When this toggle is off, only the parent rates are transmitted, which reduces the outbound traffic and improving synchronization speed, API efficiency, and overall system stability. The toggle default is defaulted to off when the integration is activated. So again, when it is on, both parent and child rate updates are sent to Windsurfer here. Another thing to note with this though is that hotels using revenue management systems, ideas, or any other Duetto or any other third-party revenue management system we strongly encourage you to keep the setting off. Managing the arrive rates directly in Windsurfer is best practice for faster updates, simplified workflows, and more reliable to the Stayntouch Windsurfer communication there. So again, if you do have or you're using a third-party revenue management system, we do recommend that you keep this feature off because again, you should be deriving rates directly from Windsurfer there. All right, last things here. Again, nothing to show here, but just some updates in regards. Again, this is all in the release notes here. Just some updates to some new Connect APIs here. So again, the POS check detail submission for guest reservations. Again, explained here. So again, if you do have any API integration and this is some data or information you would be receiving, this is now available. Another one available is POS check detail submission. Again, a point of sale API that you are able to see check detail submission for posting accounts. And the last one is the webhook signature authentication. So again, this explains the webhook security now requires a signature verification, and that goes through this information here in regards to that webhook that has now been enabled through Stayntouch here. All right. Again, a lot of information I covered. Again, this is all in the release notes. And again, if you did want to review the release notes, just real quick here, if you are on the Stayntouch homepage screen here and you click on customer support here and you go ahead and click on the release notes here, it will be featured under the Stayntouch PMS and they are available for you to read already. Again, we went over version 6.0 here. Once we conclude the session here and Aaron is able to post the recording of this, you will be able to see it under the release webinars here. So there will be a recording, or you can go ahead and view the previous release webinars as well. If you were not able to join those, go ahead and listen in and view those as well here. With that being said, I'll go ahead and hand it back to Aaron to see if there's any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Victor. So before I switch back to my screen, I'd like to open the floor for questions. Remember, you can submit questions through the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. So the first question is from Carla. During the registration card process, there is no, or is there an option for the guest to add their credit card to have on file?
I do not believe that is a feature currently with the registration card handoff. That is still something that the guests would still provide to the front desk person for them to review. Obviously, during that process, though, when you are checking in and they complete the registration card, that same procedure will happen now where the guest has to insert their credit card into your EMV credit card device. So I don't necessarily think you need it at the point when you're completing the registration card. It will still pop up or populate for the guest to insert or tap their credit card in the EMV credit card device.
Thank you. And then Brian asked, could the new APIs be used to send item sales from Stayntouch to Lightspeed POS for inventory tracking?
I I don't know. I don't have the answer to that right now, Aaron. I don't know if you know, but we can definitely take that back and find out.
Yeah, I'll have to check on that, Brian. All right. And then Georgios asks, we are using Lightspeed K, but we are not able to see the bill details.
Okay. Again, we'll check on that. I'm just looking at my notes real quick. I don't, I believe it might be something that needs to be enabled, but we will get back to you on that light speed question there as well.
Yeah.
Taking
All
a
right.
note on that.
All right. So Georgia's also asked, can I take this opportunity to ask the reason why the system is changing the language when we put the postcode of a different country? For example, the guest is coming from Greece and gives us his address. And once we put the postcode, the whole address changes to Greek or Chinese if it references the Chinese postcode.
Um, I have seen, and I forgot who was asking that question, Brian?
Georgios.
Oh, George. I have seen that populated recently. When I was doing working with a property that was using Japanese and they were entering that information in. Um, Let's take that back, Aaron, to see. I think it has is relation to that the postal code feature that got released.
Correct.
I don't know if it has to or what the process is to defer to that, but I get what you're saying, Georgius, where when you entered in defaults to the language, for example, the in my example was Japanese characters instead of having the word Tokyo, it would show up as Japanese characters. So you're also reporting now that it is also same functionality for Greek and Chinese. So I'm just copying your message here, and we'll provide an update to you on regards to that.
And those are all the questions I see right now. I'll give everyone a few more seconds to enter any.
Uh, Georgios, real quick, can you type in your email address in the chat as well, just so we have that, so we can get back to you? And then same thing for if Brian's still on, um, Brian Pendergrass, with your question in regards to the Lightspeed POS.
Right. I see those both. Let me take a screenshot. All right. Thank you both. All right. So now I will switch back to my screen since I don't see any other questions. Okay, so in this webinar, we reviewed Numpad support for post charges, the new digital registration card, Pay Now functionality, enhanced item charge display, passerby and grab and go enhancements, hotel configuration and use of last room value, how to copy existing group header details, custom CSV separator for exports, purpose of state insights on the daily production by demographics report, the primary external references update for custom exports, custom payment link on reservations and accounts, and this is for customers using Stayntouch Pay, Adyen, or Shift4, POS check management, how to control derived rate updates to Windsurfer, connect API enhancements, as well as the webhook signature authentication enhancement. Thank you all for joining. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at erin.fisher@stayntouch.com. Thanks again.